Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Old Bastards Racing League Metro Ford Cup Series. We're still in the chase playoffs here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As always, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, I'm James East, bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second. And I've got to say, it's good to be back after a bout of COVID. So let's see if I want to do my part as the racers are going to do theirs, as right now, single car qualifying is underway. We're going to take a look at our fan favorite Michael Everhart Titanium in the number 17 machine, and he's going to go out for his opening qualifying laps. Now again, this is the second round of the Chase playoffs, where we have whittled it down to only 12 racers remaining in the Chase here today. So you're going to see 12 drivers trying to best their friends, put down the best times possible, and try and edge out the competition here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. As always, thank you to eMetro4.com, our title sponsor for this series. If you need a used truck anywhere in the country, eMetro4 can get you settled and hooked up and underway. So check them out, eMetro4.com, this season's title sponsor. Right now, still in the Chase playoff, you've got Josh Robinson, Andrew Hess, Dwayne Mcarthur, Patrick Milligan, Thomas Ogle, Steve Thompson, Dode Hoskins, Gary Kipfer, Brian Lynch, Greg McDaniel, Dakota Pischke, Al Turner. Rounds out our 12 drivers still in the Chase here today. Everhart was opening lap with a 31.05. Right now, pole is owned by Steve Thompson with a 30.88. But let's see what Titanium can do out there. Now, I've got to say, guys, good to be back after a bit of a hiatus. It's always fun calling out the action for the Old Bastards Racing League Metro Ford Cup Series. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how it goes out on track, such a hot and slippery track here at Las Vegas, as well as to see what I can hold on to as far as my voice goes. Everhart clicks off at 30.99, good enough for a provisional fifth. Steve Thompson on top of pole with 30.83. Let's see who else may be going out on track. John Hastings, number 32 machine, will be making his way out in the Tide-backed Chevrolet. As always, you're going to see a few different triple-digit numbers out on track. That's going to be guys that are new guys here for the Old Bastards Racing League Metro Ford Cup Series. Once they get their double-digit number, they're going to be allowed to qualify with the big dogs right up front, but the triple-digit guys will be unable to qualify here today. It looks like John Hastings not quite moving yet, so we'll check out Jess Vaught in the number 10 machine. Right now, though, provisional pole owned by Steve the Mule Thompson in the number 67 Toyota. He clicked off at 30.83, almost an identical lap time as Dakota Pischke in the number 1. Both clicking off 30.83s. Then you got about a tenth of a second back to Dwayne Mcarthur, the fast Canadian, the number 97. But let's see what Vaught can put down in the number 10 for his opening laps here at Las Vegas. Now again, this week we're at Las Vegas. Last week we were at Bristol. I'm excited for next week. Really the next couple of rounds. We've got Talladega Super Speedway, and then we've got Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Roval. Both of those are going to be quite exciting to see what the guys can do. Switching up a little bit. We go from short tracks, we go over to super speedways, we go to a Roval. So these guys are going to have their hands full for the remainder of the Chase playoffs. Then for the second or the third round, where we take 8 drivers, it's Texas, Kansas, Martinsville, before it's all decided November 7th at Phoenix Raceway for the championship. Vaught with a 31.25 his last time by. Let's see what he clicks off for his second time lap. A 30.91 propels himself up into third for qualifying. We've got Gary Kipfer out on track, the number 68 machine, sponsored by Reese's. Kipfer, his opening lap at 31.07, good enough for 8th. Let's see if he can improve on that and propel himself up the standings. Kipfer has a big blink there. We'll check on Dode Hoskins, number 66, the bright green Ford Mustang, excuse me. So let's see what Dode can do on his opening lap, hitting at speeds of excess of 160 miles an hour. Dode's always got one of the easiest paint schemes to spot out there, as it is quite yellow. Very easy to spot. All right, let's see. Dode is going to be coming around for his first time to lap here. Let's see what he does. A 31.44, good enough for 14th, just edging out Scales, who just clicked off his first time lap. Scales piloting the number 8 Chevrolet. 3 minutes left in single car qualifying here today. So we got about 25 drivers making their way out. We've got about, I believe, 3 different rookies. We got Clint Rice, Dale Copeland, Joey Buscemi, Jeer Kershaw. I believe that'll make up all of our triple-digit numbers. Hoskins puts down a 31.10, good enough for 14th in his qualifying. But let's look at this. We've got a late driver coming out in qualifying. That's Tom Ogle, number 11. And it looks to be a new paint scheme that Ogle is running this week. Historically, he was always in the bright pink White Claw machine. I think we still see White Claw on the hood of that car. Maybe Ogle switched up with his seasonal. Maybe went to a pumpkin spice themed race car. But let's see what the Team Miata driver can do if he's going to be able to propel his way up to the top his last time by a 31.35. He's got to click off a 30.83 to try and get into the top 3 here in qualifying. And the Madman does it, and the White Claw back Toyota, a 30.78, puts it on top of provisional pole at the tail end of qualifying here. He's going to edge out Steve Thompson, Dakota Pischke, Patrick Milligan, Scales, Kipfer, Brown. Finding a lot of time here, but let's keep an eye out as well on his teammate, Josh Robinson, number 23 machine. Robinson's been very fast, very consistent all season long. And let's see what Robinson can do on his opening lap here. It seems the second lap has been the fastest for all of our competitors. Robinson with a 31.27 his opening lap. But is he going to catch up to his teammate Ogle, who put it soundly on top of pole? And let's see what Robinson can do his last time by. He does it, a 30.77, beating out his teammate by 1/100th of a second. Josh Robinson's going to put it on top of pole ahead of his teammate Tom Ogle right as qualifying comes to an end. So that was right down to the wire, but the Madman made it happen. And we're going to get ready to grid him up here today and get this party started. And let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's grid. Starting up pole, Josh Robinson in the number 23. Tom Ogle starting second. Steve Thompson will be starting third. Dakota Pischke will be starting 4th. Patrick Milligan starting 5th on tonight's grid. Scales starting 6th. Gary Kipfer will be starting 7th. Joe Brown starting 8th. Jess Vaught starting 9th. Andrew Hess starting 10th. You've got Dwayne Mcarthur, the fast Canadian, starting 11th. Lee Warsdale starting 12th. So I go back a little bit further. You got Michael Everhart starting 13th. Brian Lynch starting 14th. Kelly Cool starting 15th. Brian Lindsay starting 16th. Todd Bosworth will be starting 17th. Dode Hoskins starting 18th. Mike Schrader will be starting 19th on the grid. Dale Copeland starting 20th. Ken Huff starting 21st. Joey Buscemi starting 22nd. You've got John Hastings starting 23rd. Kershaw starting 24th. We're going to cycle back just one more spot, and they've got Clint Rice, another newcomer with a triple digits. He'll be starting 25th in the 108 machine, but a pretty healthy grid here today at Las Vegas. As we're going to get ready to get this party started, 25 drivers making their way out for 160 laps here at Las Vegas. There's no stage cautions, just good old-fashioned hard racing from start to beginning. We're going to get them rolling out here at Las Vegas. Once again, thank you to eMetroFord.com, tonight's title sponsor. And let's see what happens here at Las Vegas. A very hot, slippery, multi-groove track. Tire wear is going to be something at the forefront of these drivers' minds as green flag runs are a bit of a norm here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. Expected fuel window is about between lap 55 and 62 is what we think these drivers can stretch it out to. Pace car will make its way in this time by. And then all eyes on the two teammates, Josh Robinson, Tom Ogle, your front row. Here at Las Vegas, the green flag will fly and away we go. Looks like Robinson's going to stay glued to the inside line. Steve Thompson will accompany him behind those guys. We've got problems. Patrick Milligan has an issue. Milligan, the number 18 machine, drops down low to the apron. Not sure what happened there. He's going to fall way, way back the running order. Currently 24th on track. Up front is Josh Robinson, Tom Ogle, and Steve Thompson, all running 1, 2, 3 extremely close together. Ogle's on the high side all by his lonesome, while Robinson's got Thompson run the inside line. Behind these drivers, everybody trying to find where they're going to get slotted in at and start clicking off some laps. As Ogle is going to move up one spot ahead of his teammate Josh Robinson. You've also got Scales trying to make some big moves early on. Scales, the number 8 machine, trying to work that high side. Maybe if he can get the side draft against Steve Thompson. Ooh, and they're battling all around here today. You see a lot of drivers jockeying for position. Right behind Dwayne Mcarthur, you've got Michael Everhart, Todd Bosworth, Joe Brown, but now Macarthur's trying to work on Andrew Hess. As Scales is going to take over second place, trying to work the high line against Josh Robinson. Let's see. I mean, we've seen some few very big moves so far. Gary Kipfer moves up another spot. He's up 3 spots so far in the number 68 machine. Started off 7th, worked his way up to 4th already here today. And behind Kipfer, you've got Jess Vaught. Scales clicks off the fastest lap of the race with a 31.21. But you're on board with Gary Kipfer, number 68 machine, who's charging hard, finding some speed here at Las Vegas. Now it's going to be interesting to see which of these drivers are great short-run drivers and which guys are planning with a long run ahead of them. We've seen guys like Ogle, Robinson, Thompson, Macarthur, Pischke, Scales, all run up front all season long, especially in the long green flag runs we've seen in the past. But these short jaunts, until things really get settled in, allow the guys to show what they've got as far as short run speed. Because right now it's Ogle and Scales that have absolutely checked out. They're about a second ahead of 3rd place Josh Robinson. And Robinson is feeling the pressure as it sits from Gary Kipfer, Jess Vaught, Steve Thompson, Andrew Hess. All wanting to stay in the mix here today. We're going to look a little bit further back in the field. Check on Mike Schrader in the number 4 machine. Schrader is up 9 spots so far, trying to get around Dakota Pischke. And that's one of the best parts about racing here at the Metro Ford Cup Series is there's great clean drivers all across the racetrack. You've always got somebody to dance with. Brian Lindsay, though, has a moment. He has a crash early on. He's going to grab a quick toe to the pit. We'll take a quick look and see what happened there. Lindsay might have gotten jostled down to the apron and may have had something go wrong in the number 24 machine. He's going to quickly grab a toe back out onto pit lane to avoid bringing out the caution. We'll see if we can get a pit lane reporter and see maybe what just happened there. As Scales has taken over the race lead and the number 8 machine from Tom Ogle, the Team Miata driver. Now is Scales going to back it down at all here and try and keep the tires underneath them, or is he going to hammer down and just try and put the distance between himself and Ogle? It looks like Scales doesn't really show any sign of backing down here. He's about a 4/10 of a second advantage over Tom Ogle in the number 11. And then these guys have about a 1.5 advantage over 3rd place Josh Robinson. So good to see Scales out here running strong in a Mandalorian painted Chevrolet. We've got more great racing all across the racetrack. This is the battle for 7th between Gary Kipfer and the number 68. He's on the high line. You've got Andrew Hess, who you're currently on board with, number 54. He's on the inside line. But look at that, Kipfer able to carry a little bit more speed around that middle to high groove. You've also got to keep an eye on Dakota Pischke, the number 1 machine. He has what it takes to run up front. Pischke having a rough night so far. He's down 5 spots, currently 9th on track. The field pretty well bunched up. Nobody seems to be super content following along single file for now. Guys are seeing an opportunity when it is presented and trying to take it. Ooh, Kipfer has a bit of a blink there. It's going to allow Andrew Hess to get by nice and cleanly. Up front, it's still Scales and Ogle cruising along. Now Ogle's found a little bit more time and is caught back up to Scales. That or Scales is maybe taking it easy, not wanting to cook off too much tires too early on in the run. That's going to allow Ogle to once again take over the race lead from the number 8 of Scales. These guys again have about a 1.5 second advantage over Josh Robinson back in third, but in a series that's normally decided by green flag runs, tire wear, tire wear, tire wear. Got to be one of the biggest things these guys are focusing on, because we're expecting about 55 to 62 laps before they have to come in for fuel here. Cycle a little bit further back, you got Steve Thompson, the number 67 machine, trying to get around Jess Vaught and the number 10. And he's also accompanied by Dwayne Mcarthur. Macarthur has a big blink, though. Thompson dives it up the inside line along Vaught. Let's see if he's going to be able to make it stick. We believe he is going to slide up, yes, and slot in front of the number 10. But here comes Macarthur trying to follow his friend Thompson to see if he can make the same move. It looks like he's going to make it happen. Great racing all across the racetrack. Now Macarthur was one of the odds-on favorite to pick up a win here today at Las Vegas. One of our pit lane reporters did report, though, that he may have been a little bit too busy out partying yesterday, enjoying the local scenery. So it'll be interesting to see if Macarthur's able to capitalize, get the shakes away, and get back out there and start putting in work. He's going to get a bit of a boost from Andrew Hess. Up front, still Scales and Ogle. Clicking off laps, making it look easy with about a 1.3 second advantage over Josh Robinson. Josh Robinson currently squarely in third. He's about 1.2 seconds back from the lead drivers. He's only got about a 0.2 of a second advantage over Steve Thompson. And a great wide angle shot showing you just how stretched out the field is between those lead two cars of Ogle and Scales before you cycle it back to Robinson, Thompson, Macarthur, Hess, Kipfer, Schrader, Vaught, all in the mix here. Hess trying to find a way through here, but he's got so many talented drivers in front and behind him. I mean, he's got Robinson, Thompson, Macarthur right ahead of him. And right behind Hess, you've got Kipfer, Schrader, Vaught, Pischke, Everhart. A lot of the usual suspects here, all trying to make their way up and then also keep those tires underneath them. We've got JG Bitt tuning in, cheering on Vaught and Cool. We've had the pleasure of calling out both of those drivers early on in the season when they still had their triple-digit numbers. Right now, Vaught is in 9th place, right where he started in the number 10 machine. And you've got Kelly Cool, the number 85. He's up one spot, up into 14th. making his way around, just clicking off some laps. And again, thank you all so much for everybody that tunes in week and week out, supporting your favorite drivers, your favorite Metro Ford Cup Series, and dare say I even say your favorite broadcaster. I appreciate your patience with me as well this week, as I am still recovering from COVID, but doing my absolute best up in the booth, as well as the drivers out on track, doing their best to put on the fantastic show that you're used to week in and week out. We are watching a wild battle between the 3rd through about 9th place drivers. It's Robinson, Thompson, Macarthur, Hess, Kipfer, Schrader, Vaught, Pischke, Everhart, all in this massive gaggle of drivers. Not a lot of room to try and make anything happen here about the halfway mark through the fuel run for these drivers. So it'll be interesting to see who maybe takes a jab to try and get up there and who's going to play it safe and just follow along for a while. As you're on board with Kipfer, his last time by was at 32.56. Almost identical lap time as your race leaders, Ogle and Scales, too. So the times are there for everybody. It's just, I think, a game of playing with the aero package. I think the cars are going to tighten up pretty good if you're riding around in traffic, so clean air will be king, is what some of the drivers told us here today. But look at this. We're going to cycle it further back up front. Josh Robinson, he's now within striking distance of both Scales and Ogle. It was over a 1.5 second disadvantage at one point. Now it is down to about 0.3 between the 2nd place driver of Chris Scales and 3rd place Josh Robinson. And so far, everybody's been keeping it pretty clean, pretty green. We've had one single car incident. Now, who's we're going to check on? Let's check on Patrick Milligan in the number 18 machine. Milligan had that incident early on here today. Not quite sure what happened or if he's pushing aero damage. He's still clicking off great lap times at 32.74 his last time by. A lot of the field is doing 33s at this point. Just not quite sure what happened to Milligan early on here today. Josh Robinson's going to pressure for 2nd place, as he's going to look up the inside line, try and squeeze past Scales as they go side by side here. And that is going to allow Steve Thompson and Dwayne Mcarthur both to catch up. Those two drivers in front of them punching such a big hole in the air. It's going to allow them to really find some time here, pull their way back up. Robinson will take over 2nd place. Scales still trying to hold on to that outside line, but now he's got pressure from Steve Thompson in the number 67 machine. It seems like that inside line may be able to carry just a little bit more speed in the corners to get yourself next to your competitor. And then it's a drag race down the straightaways, trying to use the draft from your competitors ahead and behind you to slingshot your way up towards the front. We've got Michelle joining in. She's cheering on Dakota Pischke. Pischke currently down 6 spots from where he started, currently 10th on track in this Toyota. But running very, very strong. Now, the good news for all these drivers is all is not lost here. There's going to be about 3 pit stops today, allowing these guys 3 scheduled pit stops, I should say. Allowing all these drivers to kind of re-rack them out here at Las Vegas. So now the current running order on the left side of your screen, it's Ogle, Robinson, Thompson, Macarthur, Scales, rounding out our top 5 here today. Out of 25 drivers that started, Clint Rice was a DNS in the number 108. Brian Lindsay, number 24, I believe, has retired for the evening. He's been in the pit lane for about 15 minutes so far. Maybe trying to get something sorted, or maybe having something going on in real life. Real life always comes first for these racers. Now let's see how this is going to shake out the top 5. Ogle has a pretty comfortable 0.4 of a second advantage over second place and his teammate Josh Robinson. Behind Robinson, you've got Thompson in 3rd, Macarthur 4th, Hess in 5th. But it is about a 4-car show up here at the front, and these are guys that are very used to playing the tire-saving game here. Cycle back to the battle for 6th. It's Gary Kipfer and Scales putting on a show, as well as Mike Schrader, the number 4 machine. Schrader is up 11 spots so far here today. As it looks like he's going to follow Gary Kipfer around Scales. Scales committing to that mid to outside line. I'm not sure if that's going to be a tire-saving strategy or what that may be from the number 8. But that's going to allow Schrader to pick up another spot, moving up into 7th, currently up 12 spots so far here today. So Schrader making some big moves here. Let's see who's going to make any moves up here in the top 4. It's Ogle, Robinson, Thompson, Macarthur. Is anyone going to make any jabs here and maybe play a little bit with their competitors and see what's going to happen later on the race? Or are they all going to drop in single file and just click off some laps? As you're on board with Dwayne Mcarthur, number 97. He's currently 4th on track, up 7 spots from where he started here today. It looks like Macarthur's hinting at looking to the inside line of Steve Thompson's number 67. Thompson's in the bright yellow, number 67. Macarthur in the red and white, 97. As we are about a quarter of the way through today's main event, the chase round. Again, there's only 12 drivers in the chase now. We've got a couple more rounds left to go. We're at Las Vegas this week. We're at Talladega next week. And then we're at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Roval, October 10th, where we're going to whittle it down to 8 drivers for our playoffs. We got great racing still going all across the racetrack. You've got Buscemi and Hoskins going side by side. Buscemi's on the inside line and the number 128. You've got Hoskins in the bright pink number 66. He's on the high line. And this is the battle for 17th on track right now. We talk about it each and every week, so if you meet the minimum age requirement, if you're a good, clean driver, check them out. The Metro Ford Cup Series at the Old Bastards Racing League. You can have a whole lot of fun. Doesn't matter if you're battling for 1st or 17th. These guys put on a show week in and week out. Now this is Buscemi's 3rd start here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. With his best finish being a 12th at Darlington after starting 23rd. So good to see Joey up here charging strong and still getting used to his competitors. A good thing is he's surrounded by good company here as both Hoskins and Hastings, very experienced racers here for the Old Bastards Racing League, and a lot of good, clean racers. Andrew Hess and the number 54 machine has found his way up to the lead pack. Now it is a 5-car rodeo. 1st through 5th separated by less than a second here. Late is the run. We're expecting that fuel window to open up for these drivers in about 10 laps. Expecting these drivers to come in between lap 55 to 62 or so is the most we're going to see them stretch it out here today. Expecting to see them stretch it out. So what is planned to be a 3-stop race for these competitors. You gotta agree with the fans at home. Great clean racing so far here today. Everybody's being very respectful, not trying to make any bonsai moves early on. And we're at this point in the fuel run where the tire wear is definitely going to be a factor for the guys not able to push as hard as they want. As Kershaw in the 1-1-1, he's going to come down pit lane for a bit of an undercut over the rest of the field. We'll see how that pans out from one of the rookie drivers here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. As Andrew Hess is looking for a way through. Lee Warsdale also going to come into pit lane, the number 99 machine. Now what I find interesting, or what is going to be interesting, are we going to see the top 5 drivers all come into pit lane together? Or are they going to try and shake things up a little bit? So the top 5, they have about a 3-second advantage over Gary Kipfer, who is 6th on track. And all the drivers with the yellow stripe across their windshields signifying that they are in the Chase playoffs. I would imagine these guys are going to keep it single file and just click off some laps here and not worry too much about trying to make any positions here. But racers do racer stuff, so there's sometimes they throw me a curveball and I never have any idea what they're going to do. I believe that's going to be lap traffic just ahead of the Ogle in the number 11 machine. Pischke, Kipfer, Everhart all coming down pit lane. And yes, that was Lee Warsdale, the number 99 machine, who went for that undercut. He's going to use those fresh tires to try and charge back out here, going for an alternative pit strategy compared to a lot of the drivers. Kipfer, Cool, Everhart all coming down pit lane together. Let's see. I mean, we're expecting the pit window to open up for these drivers in about 3 laps for our race leaders. I am a huge fan of green flag pit stops, allowing the drivers to show their ability on and off the track as far as their planning goes. Because everybody in the top 5 right now is no stranger to running top 5, is very familiar with tire wear and what it takes to keep those average lap times low throughout the course of a long format race. And Ogle definitely not a stranger to leading laps. So far this season, he has led almost 1,600 laps out of the 4,600 that he is completed in. With 29 starts, 4 wins, 10 poles, 19 top 5s. He is no stranger to finishing strong and up front in the White Claw backed number 11. I'm still not entirely sure what paint scheme he's running today. Normally we've seen Ogle running the bright pink number 11. I'm almost thinking it's pumpkin spice. Ogle seems like a pumpkin spice kind of guy. And I believe it is. It is a pumpkin spice White Claw machine. Ogle's gonna bring it in the pit lane. And he's the only driver out of the lead pack that comes in. So Robinson, Thompson, Macarthur, and Hess opt to stay out, leaving Ogle all by his lonesome. That's an interesting move. Normally you expect to see Robinson at least to come in with Ogle. And usually Hess as well. Everybody doing their team orders and trying to come in together. But Robinson, Thompson, these guys are trying to stretch it out to something a little bit different. Now Milligan has moved back up to 5th as the rest of the field has pitted. We'll see how that works out well for him later on the run. Maybe a chance of redemption for the number 18 Ford Mustang driver of Patrick Milligan. This is going to be interesting to see how the pit strategy is looking to shake things up, because now you've also got drivers on mixed tire sets all out on track together. And that's where things can get a little bit exciting for the guys. Some guys able to come out and put down their fastest lap of the race, while your race leaders Robinson, Hess, Thompson, Macarthur, the top 4 here, are clicking off about 33-second lap times now. The fastest times of the race were about 31.5, so almost a second and a half difference between a fresh set of Goodyears and a more worn out set, as these guys have clicked off almost 60 green laps on their sets. So let's see, when is Robinson going to come in? We expect these guys to be able to go to about 62 laps on a tank of gas. As I believe here comes John Hastings. Trying to get his lap back. Was that Warsdale? So that is Hastings, the number 32 machine, is going to try and get a lap back here. He's still about 1 lap back from your race leaders, but again, the leaders have not pitted yet. How far is Robinson, Hess, Thompson, and Macarthur going to stretch it out? Just as we say that, Thompson and Macarthur come down pit lane. Robinson and Hess stay out once more. So the two drivers, number 23 of Robinson and Andrew Hess, are going to stretch it all the way out here. Expecting them to come in this time by, as they will be sputtering out there today. And just like that, Robinson comes in, Hess stays out. Hess is an absolute madman. That is going to be quite the fuel run out of the number 54 machine of Andrew Hess. Now Patrick Milligan has also stayed out, currently 3rd on track. Tom Ogle will get his lap back after his pit cycle. So out of all the drivers on track, it is just Hess and Milligan who have not pitted yet. And I believe, there we go, Hess is going to bring it in this time by. We're going to check on Patrick Milligan to see if he does the same. Milligan, the number 18 machine who had that early problem here today, may be able to have a bit of better luck. Milligan, he's been out there 65 laps so far. That is a long time on a tank of gas, and now Milligan in the number 18 machine is going to bring it down pit lane in his Metro Ford-backed Mustang. That'll allow Tom Ogle to take over the race lead and the number 11 machine. Ogle is going to have about a 6-second advantage over second place Scales. But how is this going to affect the long-run speed of the drivers? You once again see Hastings trying to get another lap back here. Now Hastings is in a good spot. He is the lead car 1 lap down, so if we do get a caution, he will receive the lucky dog and get back out there up front. But he's also got Tom Ogle right in front of him. He knows, hey, if I can find a little bit of speed and just get myself in front of the number 11 machine. So Ogle just going to sit here and click off laps with lap traffic behind him. Again, he's got about a 7-second advantage over the second place Scales. Let's cycle back and see what Scales is doing in the number 8 machine. I think Scales is just going to be sitting there clicking off laps all by his lonesome. He's about 7 seconds back from Ogle and about 3 seconds ahead of a pack of fast drivers. You've got Steve Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson, all running 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Now, Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson all came around the lap 61, 62 mark, compared to Ogle, who came in at lap 55, Scales, who came in at lap 52. How is that going to affect the green flag runs for these guys later on? We've seen drivers really stretch out their laps here, finding some more time. And look at this pack of drivers. That's a lot going on. You got Michael Everhart leading currently 7th on track. He's leading Joe Brown, Andrew Hess, Dale Copeland, Brian Lynch. A massive gaggle of drivers back here for that battle for 7th. Everybody trying to wiggle around and see where they're going to make up some time here. Now up front, Tom Ogle still clicking off laps. He's now 8 seconds ahead of Scales. That lap traffic really helping him out. I think the biggest advantage Ogle has here right now is just clean air in front of him. Able to sit out front, hot lap. Doesn't really have anybody in front of him to worry about, and he's got John Hastings right behind him. I believe that's going to be Hastings and possibly Todd Bosworth, I believe. Yes, it's going to be Hastings and Todd Bosworth who are a lap down. Helping to keep that traffic behind them and use their draft to maybe find some more speed. Now, as of right now, Ogle's looking good, but he's got a freight train of drivers behind him with Scales, Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson. If all those drivers link up together, start clicking off laps in single file, they may be able to whittle away at that advantage that Ogle has in the Pumpkin Spice White Claw back Toyota Camry. Ogle not having too many issues here today, not really any close calls yet. And it seems like that maybe that lap 55 pit strategy is going to work out well for number 11. We are kind of worried up here in the booth, seeing Ogle come in all by his lonesome. Sometimes it's tough when you come into pit lane and come out with no one around you to make it work well. The draft is just such an important part of this racing, but look at this. Macarthur and Thompson have moved up past Scales. Now, Scales came in on lap 52 compared to the rest of his competitors around him. Came around lap 61, 62 mark. So I'm not sure if that's what non-lap pressure tires will do, allowing Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson to work their way up. And let's see, is this trio, way more than a trio, it's 4 of them, Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson, Scales, are they going to be able to work together and whittle away at that 7.8 second advantage that Ogle has? I think they are, as at one point Ogle was comfortably 8 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. And these guys, if they can link up, click off some laps single file, they'll really be able to put down some times here. I'm expecting these competitors to come in around anywhere between lap 110 to 120 is probably the next expected pit stop for these drivers. Macarthur, the number 97, currently 3rd in points. He's had 29 starts so far this season. He's had 4 pole positions, 4 wins, with an average finish of about 5th place. So all these guys in the top 5, the top 10 have been so consistent all season long, and it's really tough to kind of pick on an odds-on favorite to win week in and week out, as these guys do such a good job every week. And it's very rare to see any of these guys involved in any incidents. But we have seen races won or lost on pit road before. As they've slowly whittled away at the advantage that Ogle has, it is down to about 7.3 seconds between Ogle, your race leader, and this pack of drivers battling. An innocent Cone gets absolutely careened on the backstretch. As we are at the halfway mark for the race. Since we're at the halfway mark, we're going to let you ride on board with Tom Ogle and let you listen to the engines roar. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, as we have a lot more action left in today's race. Back, Tom Ogle still out front, charging hard. He's only about 7 seconds ahead now of Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson, and Scales. But I believe Thompson is finding some speed here, because he's got a lot of fast drivers around him, and they're going to start working their way up towards the front. Are they going to catch up to Ogle before this fuel window opens? Now Ogle, he's on 6-lap older tires than a large portion of the field here. Are we going to see Thompson and friends catch up to Ogle here? Or is Ogle going to stay out front with that clean air? Such a big advantage, able to hot lap, hit your marks, and not really worry about anything else besides what your own race program is. Thompson, one of our odds-on favorites to try and win the championship. He is still in the chase as well. Thompson out of 28 starts. He's only got 3 DNFs so far this season. And out of those 28 starts, 13 of which he found himself inside the top 5. Now last week, he started on pole at Bristol and was able to finish 6th after being involved in one incident. But he will have lap traffic to contend with here shortly, I believe. And most importantly, that it takes the clean air off of Thompson. I believe that may be Pischke. Was that Jet? No. Yes, that is Pischke, the number 1, who will yield the preferred line to Steve Thompson. And they've got it down about 6.3 seconds behind Tom Ogle, so still finding pace here. But they've only got about 20 to 30 laps left of fuel before we expect to see these drivers to come back in. As I believe Macarthur, Robinson, Scales are all going to follow single file here, not wanting to make any big moves and go side by side to slow down their run. All these guys pretty much run identical lap times. Ogle, your race leader, with a 32.58 his last time by. Thompson with a 32.55 his last time by. So I believe this is going to be, once again, a race that could be won or lost on fuel and tire strategy. As we check on your race leader, Tom Ogle, who's out front just charging hard at the number 11 machine. That's number 46 machine, Ken Huff, who will yield the line to your race leader, Tom Ogle. Nothing but professionalism and friends out here at the Old Bastards Racing League. These guys run throughout the week. They run trucks, they run Xfinity, they run ARCA, and they run their premier class, the Metro Ford Cup Series, here Sunday mornings, broadcasted live on the Team Goon Squad channel. We're expecting the fuel window to open up in about 10-15 minutes. Excuse me, 10 to 15 laps, I should say. As Ogle not having too many lap cars to worry about now. He's still only about 5.6 seconds ahead of that second pack of cars, led by Thompson with Macarthur, Robinson, Scales in tow. But I'm thinking they may be able to get to their fuel window before that becomes a factor for your race leader. As Ogle not having many things to worry about here today. Thankfully, lap traffic's been very respectful, hopping out of the race line as soon as they see Ogle's number 11 in their rearview mirror. That is the number 99 machine of Lee Warsdale, who's about to go a lap down to the race leader, Ogle. Kershaw coming into pit lane for a bit of an undercut again. We've seen Kershaw try and make that happen earlier on today. Kershaw on the 111 machine currently 20th on track, up 4 spots from where he started. Opting for new tires being a little bit more important to him than the track position. But Thompson is now only about 5.2 seconds back from your race leader, Tom Ogle. Again, it is Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson, Scales running 2nd through 5th here today. For the most part, everybody running single file, trying to claw their way back up to Ogle's number 11, your race leader. Again, we're expecting that pit window to open up in about 10 laps for these drivers for our final pit stop of the race. Scheduled pit stop. Now that can be said that if we have a cautionary sort of shenanigans thrown in the mix, things could rapidly get shaken up here. And just like that, Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson are going to come down pit lane. They're going to leave Ogle and Scales out there by themselves. And just like that, Ogle's going to come in as well. Is Scales going to stay out? I believe he is. So this could possibly shake things up. Scales has opted to stay out. Hess, Schrader, Everhart, pretty much majority of the field here has stayed out. It is going to be extremely interesting to see how this shakes out at the tail end of this. Now Scales has not come in since lap 52. We know these drivers can stretch it out to about 62, 63 laps on a tank of gas. But how long is Scales going to stay out for? We know he can make it to about lap 112 to 115. Probably the best case here is what we can see Scales stretch it out to? Scales, he has about a 10.5 second advantage over Andrew Hess, who is now second on track. Hess came in at lap 64 with a very long fuel run, so we know he can stretch it out. But how is this going to play in effect? Because now Scales should have a little bit cleaner track to play with and go out there and hit his marks. We saw it work very well for Ogle on the number 11 machine. Joe Brown, the number 21 machine, he's going to come into pit lane on lap 105, as well as Brian Lynch and the number 15. Ogle will take back over his lap and get back on the lead lap. Kipfer comes down pit lane as well. It's hard to tell if Kipfer was coming down pit lane or maybe just trying to avoid the race leaders. Mike Schrader, number 4 machine, he'll come down pit lane for his final planned stop of the evening. Now this is going to be very interesting as Ogle, Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson are almost on the exact same pit strategy now. Ogle, your previous race leader, I believe he's only going to be about 4 seconds ahead of Thompson and Macarthur out on track. Dode Hoskins, the number 66 Ford Mustang driver, he's going to come down pit lane. And we'll pull up the live timing tower on the left side of your screen so everybody at home can see where your favorite driver's at. As always, thank you so much to everybody that tunes in and cheers on your favorite drivers. Almost all of our drivers tune in each and every week supporting and see who's supporting them after the broadcast. For the guys that don't watch it live, they absolutely see what fans are out here cheering them on. Oh, look at this. Here comes Steve Thompson. He's going to get his lap back, making it 3 wide with Dwayne Mcarthur and Scales. These guys are charging hard, trying to catch back up to Tom Ogle, number 11 machine, because they know Scales is going to have to pit at least once more. Here's the side-by-side battle between Thompson and Macarthur. Thompson's going to slot just ahead of Macarthur. Now, in theory, this should eventually be the battle for second out on track, as Tom Ogle is about 3.4 seconds ahead. Everhart, number 17 machine, he was running third. He's going to bring it down pit lane for his final stop. So now it is just Scales and Hess that have not boxed yet for the final time. Thompson has a bit of a blink, able to hold on to it. Now Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson, they're about 3 seconds back from Tom Ogle. At one point, Tom Ogle had about an 8-second advantage over the entirety of the field. But are we going to see a mad dash here? Not a lot of laps left for these competitors. About 47 laps remaining. All these guys should be able to make it under the current fuel they have. But who's going to keep some tire wear in reserve? Andrew Hess brings it down pit lane. The number 54 machine. Scales still staying out, your race leader. Ogle now only 2.7 seconds ahead of Thompson. Scales is your race leader still in the number 8 machine, but he has not pitted for the final time. Now, by the time he comes in and out of pit lane, he should be about 10 to 15 seconds behind the race leaders of Ogle, Thompson, Macarthur, Robinson. Ogle does have that clean air advantage. We talked to the drivers before today's main event, and they were talking about how important that clean air can be. Allows you to really click off some lap times and not worry about the car tightening up as the run progresses. Scales will finally bring it into pit lane on lap 117. That was a insanely long run for him. So that's going to allow Tom Ogle to take over the race lead. And he's only about 3 seconds ahead of Thompson Macarthur. Josh Robinson, though, has some sort of problems as he's fallen way off the pace. So now I believe it's going to be a show between Ogle, Thompson, Macarthur, your top three. Separated by about 3 seconds between Thompson and Ogle, your race leader. As you're on board with Steve Thompson this last time by at 32.33 compared to Ogle with a 32.15. I'm not sure if maybe Thompson's keeping some tire wear in reserve or may have had a battle with lap traffic there ever so slightly. As Thompson will cut in front of Everhart, Titanium number 17. Everhart will be the lead driver, one lap down here today. And man, look at those cars absolutely working some of the bumpier sections here in Las Vegas. As Hoskins will also get a lap back from Steve Thompson. Now this is going to bode well for Tom Ogle, your race leader. Every time the second through fourth place drivers have the battle for any sort of track position, that is going to allow him a chance to breathe and maybe put down some more distance between himself and this pack of second drivers. as it is still about a 3.5 second advantage that Tom Ogle currently holds over Steve Thompson and Dwayne Mcarthur. We've got about 35 laps left of action. Are we going to see Thompson and Macarthur pull their way up to the front? Or is Tom Ogle still going to run uncontested with the number 11 White Claw back Toyota Camry? As Ogle's just able to sit out front and click off some laps, that clean air, such an advantage for the number 11. Now, one thing that Tom Ogle is proud of is that he does all his own paints on the number 11 machine throughout the season. So that is a custom one-off White Claw Pumpkin Spice race car today. You're not going to find that anywhere else on the iRacing service, where he is sponsored both by White Claw as well as Ogle's Auto Sales. So good to see Tom out there representing both himself and his company well. And look at old Titanium coming up in the number 17 machine. Mike Everhart trying to get that lap back in the number 17. As he's now right behind the race leader. Ogle still has about a 3.6 second advantage over Thompson and Macarthur. With about 30 laps remaining, are we going to see Thompson and Macarthur able to make a final push up here to the front? Excuse me. Or is Ogle going to be able to hold on to it? Now, I am also very intrigued to see what these drivers think about what's coming up later in the schedule. Now, Talladega, that's going to be kind of a lottery game for some of these drivers on who can hold on to it the longest and maybe win the draft lottery and avoid the big one. But the Roval is going to be extremely exciting, as that is going to be the final race to decide the next round of Chase playoff, where it's going to be only 8 drivers making their way up towards the front. Now Everhart has got his lap back, so he will now be on the lead lap. Only 8 drivers on the lead lap here at this point of the race of the E-Metro Ford Cup Series here at the virtual Las Vegas. Ogle has about a 3-second advantage as Dwayne Mcarthur has taken over second place from Steve Thompson. Going to be interesting to see if those drivers maybe communicated saying, all right, I've been pushing for a while. Let's tag out, see if you can try something and pull our way up towards the front. As the laps are rapidly clicking off. Now it seems maybe it has worked slightly as Macarthur has now got down to about 2.8 seconds behind Tom Ogle, is up to 3.5 at one point, but they have not a lot of laps left to try and make something happen here today. It's still Ogle, Macarthur, Thompson, Robinson, Scales rounding out your top 5 here today. But I'm not sure if Macarthur's finding speed or if maybe Ogle's having a battle with traffic here, as he's briefly side by side with Titanium Everhart. It is now only 2.2 seconds separating Tom Ogle from Dwayne Mcarthur in second place. Ogle does not want to find himself battling traffic here, as he knows Macarthur and Thompson will be charging up with about 26 laps left in today's main event. Last week at Bristol, Ogle was able to put it on the top spot at Bristol, followed by Dwayne Mcarthur, Josh Robinson, Patrick Milligan, Andrew Hess, rounding out our top 5 last week. Whereas Ogle is one of the dominant cars out there, where he led 298 laps at the Coliseum. And out of those 300 laps, we only had 3 leaders, 3 lead changes, with 2 cautions for 10 laps. So looking like we may be able to get through tonight without any cautions. But will Tom Ogle be able to hold on to it? Is he still about 2.1 seconds ahead of Dwayne Mcarthur, Steve Thompson? Excuse me, guys. The COVID's really kicking my rear end this week. We're going to check on Dwayne Mcarthur and Steve Thompson to see where they're able to cut through. I believe Tom Ogle, as he's got ahead of that lap traffic once more and able to put his head down, is not losing the fistfuls of time that he was earlier. As Macarthur still finds himself about 2.3 seconds back from Ogle. 23 laps left to go. Steve Thompson is going to stay glued to the back bumper of the number 97. This is the battle for second on track right now between Macarthur and Thompson. But most importantly, these guys are going to want to link up, put their heads down, and see if they can do anything in their power to catch up to Ogle, who is out front, charged, and strong. Everybody inside the top 4 is on the same tire strategy. You have to go all the way back to 5th place, where it's Scales, who came in a lap 117. So about 15 laps later than the top 4 drivers. It'll be very interesting to see how that move pays off for Scales. As, oh, look at this, Macarthur. He's got lap traffic to contend with in the face of the number 21. He's going to want to try and get by quickly around Joe Brown. Brown goes to the high side, allowing your second and third place drivers through as relatively uncontested as they possibly can. And they're going to go side by side down the backstretch into turn 3. Looks like Macarthur's going to make it nice and easy, not having too many issues there. But every time they get slowed down with somebody else on track, that's going to allow Tom Ogle another chance to breathe. on board with Steve Thompson. Thompson's also trying to get around traffic as well. So this has allowed Tom Ogle to pull another 1/10 of a second advantage over the second and third place drivers with 19 laps left to go. Tom Ogle is out front and in charge in number 11 machine. He's got Everhart in tow behind him, who is a lap down. .16 laps left to go. Ogle still has about a 2-second advantage. Macarthur and Thompson have found almost 3/10 that last time by. Able to crawl their way closer towards the front, but are they going to have enough laps left here at Las Vegas to contend with Ogle in the number 11, or is it going to be Ogle all the way to the end? Macarthur finding a little bit of speed as well as Thompson. They've got down to less than 2 seconds to Tom Ogle up front. What's going to happen here? Is there going to be enough laps with 14 laps left to go? And what is traffic going to do for these competitors as they are now 1.9 seconds away from Tom Ogle? Is Macarthur and Thompson going to be able to charge up through the field here? They've got a couple of lap drivers in front of them, just between themselves and race leader Tom Ogle. Ogle's going to do everything in his power to keep those drivers back behind him, because here comes Macarthur and Thompson that are about to be charging strong. What's going to happen? 12 laps left to go. It's down to 1.7 seconds between Tom Ogle and Dwayne Mcarthur. Macarthur is going to use everything in his power to try and catch up to Ogle. Ogle is going to use those lap drivers to his advantage as long as he can, but Macarthur has the rabbit to chase. He can see Ogle just ahead of him. Oh, this is going to be close. I know Macarthur wanted to pick up another win here at Las Vegas, but Ogle also wants to capitalize on that winning streak as well. .65 seconds separates Tom Ogle from Dwayne Mcarthur. Are Are they going to have enough laps left here at Las Vegas? It's 10 laps left to go. Steve Thompson also staying right in tow with Macarthur, saying, all right, if we're going to make this a party for the lead, we're going to make it a 3-car battle. Half a straightaway separating our lead driver from the second and third place drivers of Macarthur and Thompson. Still about 1.6 seconds. They're gaining tenths at a time, but oh, it's going to be close all the way down the wire to see if Ogle's going to be able to hold on to it. Both Macarthur and Thompson know they're going to have to stay in single file here if they want any shot at the win. If they start battling for that second place spot, they're going to throw away any chance of the win here at Las Vegas. Now Macarthur, he does have the disadvantage. Tom Ogle out front. He has that clean air to work with. It's going to help prevent him from tightening up as badly as it will be for Macarthur and Thompson if they get right in the toe of, I believe, that's going to be Everhart and Schrader. No, it's going to be Everhart and the number 85 machine of Kelly Cool that are laps down. .3 seconds between Tom Ogle and Dwayne Mcarthur. Cool drops down the inside line, allowing Macarthur and Thompson to get a good charge. 1.2 seconds separating our race leader Tom Ogle from second place Macarthur. 0.3 of a second between Macarthur and Thompson. Let's see what's going to happen. 1.15 seconds separating Ogle and Macarthur. It's going to be 5 laps left to go as they cross the line. Only 1 lap car is between your race leader Ogle and Macarthur, and that's Titanium Everhart, the number 17 machine. You'd expect to see him yield the race line here shortly to allow these Titans to battle for the lead. And just like that, it is 1 second separating Ogle and Macarthur. 5 laps left to go. Is there enough time out here today to make something happen? Macarthur's going to look to the inside line of Titanium Everhart. It's going to get there nice and clean. Titanium yields the position to the race leaders. He knows there's a race for the lead about to shake up, and he does not want to be involved, but that has cost Macarthur some much-needed time, as now he's about 1.2 seconds back from Ogle. Is there going to be enough time here today to make a final shot for the lead? Just ahead of Macarthur, you can see Tom Ogle about a half straightaway ahead. And Macarthur's also got his hands full, as he knows Steve Thompson, the wily veteran, has the ability and the know-how to make a final shot at Macarthur to try and take over that second place. At what point does Thompson say, all right, the race lead's not going to happen, I can at least pick up a second place finish here and try and wiggle my way around Dwayne Mcarthur with 2 laps left to go. Ogle out front about 1.3 seconds. Now it is going to be a game to see, can Macarthur hold on to second here today, or is Steve Thompson going to go for the upset? The white flag will fly here for Tom Ogle. Ogle's found some more space. I'm not sure if Macarthur may have burned up his tires with that final charge. But this is the battle for second as Tom Ogle is almost 2 seconds ahead of Macarthur. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, put together, Tom Ogle is going to bring home the race win. Dwayne Mcarthur will get second, Steve Thompson third. We're going to cycle it back here to the battle for fourth between Scales and Robinson. Scales is going to hold on to it for fourth, Robinson fifth. But man, what a great race from all of our competitors here today. That was a lot closer there at the end than it could have been. Our drivers forming up for their picture here today. I believe some of the drivers having a little bit of a problem there. I believe that might have been Macarthur having a bit of issue. And now Tom Ogle is going to burn it down in the number 11 machine. A well-deserved win here today. And no victory burnout from Tom Ogle. Straight to the pits. So we're going to try and get our drivers up here into the booth. We see him trickling in here. We're still waiting on Steve the Mule Thompson. And here we go. Joining us first, the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Thompson, the number 67 Toyota Camry. Steve, it looked like a great run, just maybe not enough tire there left at the end, but what did it go? How did it go from your point of view out there today?
Oh, it was all right. I messed up on my fuel strategy. I should have gone in at 53 like I originally was, but I ended up going at 60, and Ogle just got, 5/10 a lap or whatever on fresh tires is just way too much to try and catch him. There at the end, I had plenty of tire, but he got the draft on the 4 car as we started catching him. So, but it was a good race, good clean race. All these guys did a great job.
Yeah, you got to be happy as both a competitor and an admin for this one. Now, how do you think things are going to shake up next week at Talladega? I know it can be a bit of a lottery on who walks out of that one clean, avoiding the big one. Is that a track you're going to be apprehensive going into, or what's your thought for next week?
Yeah, I'm apprehensive about the next 2 weeks. Talladega, I'll just ride around the back, see what happens. Try to stay out of trouble. I don't need any incident points. And then the Roval, of course, that's a crap shot with me too. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make the next round or not, but I'm going to give it my damnedest. I'm feeling pretty depressed and whipped right now by Ogle. So I'm thinking about maybe putting my head in my electric oven, see if that works.
Well, whatever it takes, man. 'Tis the season, as we hear all season long. But, Steve, before I let you sign off, my friend, first of all, it's good to be back up here and great to see you up in the booth with me as well. But who would you like to give thanks to that's supporting you behind the scenes and making the number 67 so quick week in and week out?
I want to thank Ride TV for sponsoring this Toyota. And I want to thank emetroford.com for sponsoring the series. I want to thank my mom for putting up with me. I want to thank my wife, Wendy, for putting up with me day in and day out. And thanks to all the members here at OBRL that show up every week and put on great races. I mean, we had some new 3-digit number guys in here, and everybody did a really, really good job. So, by the way, how are you doing with your COVID?
Honestly, all things considered, this is okay. I'm very fortunate. I mean, some people got their rear ends really kicked really badly. Earlier on in the week, I was in not good shape. I'm definitely feeling it after my first broadcast back. But, man, just glad to be back in the booth with all my friends more than anything.
Yeah, glad to have you here, man.
Well, always a pleasure. Steve, great time talking to you, man. Good job as well on a third, and hope to see you survive next week at Talladega.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Hopefully I'll be up here. I can talk to you again.
I hope so as well, man. That was Steve Thompson bringing it home in third. Up next, we've got my friend Dwayne Mcarthur bringing it home in second, the number 97 machine. Dwayne, what'd you think coming into tonight? I know it was a race you thought you had a good shot at, but I mean, you got second place. Not a bad day at the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, second place in this league any day is a good day, so can't really complain too much.
Now, what was the plan? I know you had your own strategy with the pit stops here today. Did that change at all throughout the race, or did you kind of make your plan and stick with it and see where everything fell off at?
I pitted on about right on cycle what I planned on the first stop. Second stop changed. Josh dove down for the pits, and I think Steve and I both just reacted and followed Josh. I didn't think it was really going to matter too much where we pitted or when we pitted. I kind of felt like you could manage it from there, but like I said, second place is a good day. A little disappointing, but it is what it is.
Now, coming up, we've got Talladega, we've got the Roval, Texas, Kansas, Martinsville, Phoenix. Are any of those tracks you're thinking, yes, I've got a great shot of that? Or on the other hand, are any of those tracks you're thinking, oh man, I just got to get through that weekend?
Nope, this was the last track that I feel good at for the rest of the chase, so it's survival mode from here. I tend to be a little too passive on the plate tracks, and I don't know. I'm not a road course specialist either, so it'll be an uphill grind the rest of the way. This was kind of the last shot to lock in for the next round.
Well, it looked like you did a pretty darn good job at it. It's always a good time talking to you. It's really good to be back up here in the booth with all my friends. Dwayne, before I let you sign off and celebrate and enjoy the rest of your weekend, who would you like to give a shout-out to that's helping support you and the number 97 machine this season?
Yeah, shout out to REG Customs and to Patrick, Metro Ford for sponsoring this, Metro Ford Chicago for sponsoring this series. Everybody who shows up so that we have a league to race in, thanks to you, all the guys on my team. They're a lot of help, and it's just fun to come here and turn laps in this league because everybody who shows up. So thanks to everyone.
Well, always a great time, Dwayne. Hope to see you do well and survive next week at Talladega, and always a great time talking to you, my friend.
Yeah, you bet. Look for my car to be on the hall or halfway through or something, I'm sure. But I'll do my best.
Take it easy, my friend.
See you, buddy.
And up next, the man of the hour, Tom Ogle in the White Claw, back to number 11. Now, Tom, I see a new paint scheme out there today. What can you tell me about it?
Well, it's fall. It's pumpkin spice season, so I just went with it.
Well, I mean, I guess nobody can talk any smack from the grandstands if you put on the top spot of the podium with all these the unique paint schemes that you put forth each and every week. Now, did you have a plan coming into tonight with your fuel strategy? Did you stick with it, or did anything kind of change out there today?
I stuck with it. A lot of, like, my teammates, Andrew and Josh, they'll run long and use the new tires to make up time. But I'm not patient enough to do that. You know, I run my head off and burn up my stuff because the anxiety to get back that time you lose running long, you know?
Yeah, and it seemed like a very good, clean race from start to beginning. Were you expecting green flag runs today? I know it's kind of the norm, but sometimes things kind of get shaken up here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. Did you expect it to run as clean and green as they did today, or what was your expectations?
I kind of thought we would get long green. I didn't know caution free, but the long green I expected just because it was kind of a tight setup, and we usually don't have cautions on a tight setup, you know. And we had a good field, but not like full field. And once it spreads out, you know, I knew once we got like 15 laps in that we were going to be okay.
And I know drivers talked about the clean air being so important, and it seemed like it worked well for you out there up front, the number 11. Did the drivers that were 1 or 2 laps down behind you, did they affect your car that much throughout the run, or was it pretty smooth sailing even with those guys right behind you?
Right behind me was good. In front of me was a disaster. You pick up a push getting in the corner so bad, and then even if you're making good lap times, it just destroys your tire wear.
Well,
That's kind of why when I jumped out front, I just was, I wanted to go, and I was going to set my pace. And I guess if I burned my stuff up, I did. But I didn't feel like I was burning my stuff up when I got out in front.
Well, it seemed to work well from start to finish. I mean, it was another great performance. I know Bristol did well to you. How do you feel going into Talladega next week? Is that a place you're going to be comfortable at, or is it just going to be you trying to survive with all your friends for 2 hours?
I love Talladega. I love Daytona. I like there you can just, if you can stay up front, you can usually, you got a shot at a win. Yep. I'm dreading the Roval. I'm glad I got this win to get me through the next 2 races. But that's kind of why I thought this might be my best shot. But Dwayne is so good here. I mean, Dwayne is so good that if you beat him, you really accomplish something.
Well, a lot of great times, great racers, and great friends here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Tom, before I let you sign off and maybe go pop open one of those pumpkin spice White Claws, who would you like to give a shout out to that's supporting you behind the scenes so far this season?
You know what? Josh really helped me today because I was losing my mind because some of the lap traffic, and he really talked me down, like stayed calm and talked me off the ledge, I guess. And Andrew does good with fuel strategy and stuff. And Joe Brown helped me there running when he got in a draft with me. So yeah, all those guys really help work together. And you guys do a good job broadcasting, and the guys that put on the league, everybody did a great job.
Well, always a great time talking to you, Tom. Congratulations on another well-fought win, and hope to see you do well throughout the rest of the Chase playoffs.
Yep, thank you. Have a good weekend.
You as well, sir.
Go Browns.
And that is Tom Ogle, tonight's race winner in the Team Miata number 11 overall. Another great race here for the Metro Ford Cup Series at the Old Bastards Racing League. A lot of good, clean racing, and an entire green flag race. No cautions here today, so well done to all of our competitors, putting on a great show and showing why they are some of the best in the business. As always, on behalf of emetroford.com, oldbastardsracing.com, as well as teamgoonsquad.com, I'm James East in the broadcast booth. Thanking you all so much for tuning in this week. We'll see you next week at Talladega as we continue our Chase playoffs, and we hope you all have a great and happy weekend. Have a great day, everyone.